Alrighty, Broncos country, we are live, but per tradition, we have to let the stream breathe just for a second here. Make sure that everything is nice and stable across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this pregame stream, Broncos versus Bears, Week 4. Can we avoid an 0-4 start? This is going to be a really big test for the Denver Broncos, as this game could very well determine who gets the number 1 overall pick if the Denver Broncos were to lose this game. I feel like the Broncos do outmatch the Chicago Bears in terms of talent, but at the same time, the Bears are also going to be coming into this game extraordinarily desperate for a win. We got Garrett in the house. Clickbait! Man, I love that. That's turned into the channel meme. I love it. But, so yeah, man, this game is going to be a game where the Bears are going to show a lot of heart, a lot of fight. You know that they're going to want to get the bad taste out of their mouth of what's happened the last 3 weeks. But conversely, for the Denver Broncos, obviously we set history last week with our embarrassing 70-20 loss to the Miami Dolphins. The worst defensive performance in modern NFL history, the worst defensive game planning in modern NFL history. So this is one where the Broncos are going to want to get the bad taste out of their mouth, and it's going to be against an opponent that I feel like is very much beatable. We got Von Miller Express in the house saying, "Good morning, Gage. Good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you, Vaughn." Guys, I'm a terrible host, but just go give me 1 second. I totally forgot to grab my headphones. I'm going to go grab those real quick. What? Oh. You don't want to. They're a little wet still from my shower last night. Sorry about that, guys. I'm a terrible host. We got Antelope in the house saying, "Surely it can't get any worse after last week, right?" I mean, absolutely, Antelope. I mean, last week, the Broncos were extraordinarily outmatched by one of the most track team surrounded squads I've ever seen. The Dolphins have speed. They have one of the best play designers in the NFL in Mike McDaniel. The Broncos, conversely, just don't have the horses on defense, and they have Vance Joseph calling the defense, who obviously has plenty of shortcomings. I'm not going to sit here and bash on Vance Joseph just yet. I don't want to waste my energy on that just yet this morning. But this was just a bad matchup for the Denver Broncos walking into Miami. And at the end of the day, man, the team, I don't want to say they gave up, but at the end it really looked like they did. When the Dolphins were trying to run out the clock, Denver wouldn't tackle Devon Achane, and he scored several times. And then eventually Miami was like, all right, we're just going to launch up a deep one to Robbie Chosen, Robbie Anderson, whatever you want to call him. And eventually Miami was like, all right, we're just going to start running up the score now. At least Mike McDaniel, I think he should have kicked that field goal personally. At the time, I thought it was good sportsmanship, but now thinking back on it, Sean Payton totally would have done the same thing. So we've got Big Ass Moss in the house, or I believe that's what that says. We need a win, and not barely a win. Hopefully we can put up 30. I think our offense is going to be able to put up 30 against this Bears defense. We'll go and preview that a little bit later on here in the stream. But I'm not too worried about our offense. What I'm worried about, quite frankly, is the poor tackling of our defense going up against a Chicago Bears team that can run the ball. They've got a really strong pair of young backs in Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, and we all know what Justin Fields can do with his legs as well. That's my biggest concern right now in terms of matchups to watch today. Antelope, if we lose to the Bears today, we're definitely tanking for Caleb Williams. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. I mean, with tanking, I don't feel like tanking happens on the field. Players are going to go out there and they're going to put out their best effort to win games. Players do not tank. And quite frankly, I don't think Sean Payton's giant ego is going to allow him to tank either, as much as he wants to work with somebody like Caleb Williams. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. We got David in the house saying, are the Broncos going to a new low today, or are they going to win a game and trash talk about winning? I think they'll win the game, or at least knock on wood, I hope they win the game. But I don't think they're going to trash talk if they do win. At the end of the day, you'll be 1-3 if you win this game. So there's not much room to trash talk there at 1-3. Clickbait in the house. Y'all push that like. Yes, guys, absolutely. If you guys could just do me a big favor and leave a like on this stream, that would be absolutely awesome. And subscribe to the channel too if you guys have yet to do so. We've been really fighting hard with the YouTube algorithm, guys. They have been not pushing our content out to all of our viewers. Like, guys who are subscribed to the channel aren't getting notifications that I've gotten messaged, or they aren't getting the videos pop in their subscription feeds. So if you guys want to make sure that you see every single video and every single live stream that we put out, be sure to press the little bell right next to the subscribe button. That puts all of our videos in your notification feed on your phone, on whatever device you use, and it tells you whenever we're live, whenever we upload a video. Guys, again, YouTube's algorithm has been really screwing us over these past couple of weeks, so please, please, please be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell if you have yet to do so. I refuse to watch the Broncos unless they fire Vance Joseph. He has totally lost the entire defense without a doubt. So let's have a little conversation about VJ, guys, because yes, Vance Joseph is currently doing a really bad job as the Broncos defensive coordinator. The game planning sucks on the defensive side of the ball. The scheming is dog crap on the defensive side of the ball. Vance Joseph has been terrible. That said, his personnel has been extraordinarily thin to work with. I'm not trying to be a Vance Joseph apologist here, but I'm trying to kind of prepare Broncos country because I don't foresee a Vance Joseph firing coming until at least possibly week 8, and even then, I strongly feel like Sean Payton's going to ride this thing out with Vance Joseph until the end of the season. Let's come over here real quick, guys, and let's take a look at the Denver Broncos cupboard right now on the defensive side of the ball. So you're starting John Harris as one of your interior D-line spots. Zach Allen has been sorely disappointing these last couple of weeks. I really wish we'd see more Matt Henningsen, honestly. LP asks, what are we smoking on today? I got some... I believe it's called Skittles Squared, so it's like 4 different strains of Skittles all crossed together. It's from a cannabis company called Artsy here in Denver. I've also got, I want to say it was some Rainbow Runs. That was the second strain as well. So got a really nice variety today. But anyway, Zach Allen and DJ Jones have been sorely disappointing. Mike Purcell will not play in this game. Elijah Garcia is active. So I'm hoping that we can see Elijah Garcia maybe make some of that same impact that he made in the preseason and in training camp. He's really good on stunts. So I'm really hoping we can see Elijah Garcia in that role. And again, I want to see more Matt Henningsen on the D-line. But back to the bare cupboard on the defensive side of the ball. We already know about our struggles with Damari Mathis at one of your boundary corner spots. That's a big, big issue. That is a big, big issue. Sorry, Sorry, I was reading the chat. But when you have Damari Mathis as one of your boundary corners, we all know about his struggles. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with this one. And then obviously following the injuries to guys such as K'Wan Williams and PJ Locke, you've got other areas of weakness in the secondary, particularly the nickel spot. I mean, right now, the nickel spot with Hissene Bassi, he's been kind of up and down. I thought he had a really, really bad game, honestly, against Miami. I want to see some more Jaquan McMillan just to see what he can do. Right now, it's all about finding guys who can make an impact. Linebacker, obviously, we're going to have to depend on Drew Sanders once again today. He had a serious baptism by fire in that Miami game. He did not play well at all. I'm hoping that he'll have a better task this week, but at the same time, he's going to be asked to tackle quite a bit. Miami's run game picked us apart, and I'm worried Chicago's run game could potentially give us some similar problems. We did bring up Ben Neiman from the practice squad for this game, so it's going to be interesting to see if Ben Neiman gets any starting reps there. But yeah, guys, again, the cupboard is just extraordinarily bare on the defensive side of the ball right now. And because of that, man, I just feel like Vance Joseph is, I'm not going to say is going to get a pass through this season. There's going to need to be changes made if the struggles of this historic proportion continue. But I also feel like Sean Payton knows that firing Vance Joseph won't completely fix the problem. It might put a Band-Aid on things, but it would basically be like putting a Band-Aid on a festering, gangrening wound. That's what this is. This is a much bigger issue than just Vance Joseph. And sure, firing Vance Joseph may temporarily solve things, but it's not going to be the full long-term solution. Vance Joseph will be gone by the end of the season. Mark my words, he's not going to be here. But I do feel like he's going to make it through this year. So, let's get back through the chat here. Vaughn says Broncos win 35-17. I think that's a pretty realistic score. Oh, Vaughn's got that Gorilla Glue number 4. Nice. LP's got that cherry pie. Let's go. Vaughn says, Gage, you got your party favorites today. Mountain Dew, a little bit of Rock Mountain High. Yep. We got a Mountain Dew right here. And we got the Mountain Dew and the Rainbow Runts. Breakfast of Champions. This defensive roster is truly terrible. I was so sick of hearing people say the Bash Brothers referring to Jewell and Singleton. We have the worst starting duo at inside linebacker in the league. I don't disagree with that. I really don't. I mean, Singleton's a guy that I feel like has some potential as a niche player for sure, but Josie Jewell for me has been incredibly disappointing. And as far as Drew Sanders, he showed flashes in training camp, but right now it feels like the live bullets have been a little bit too much for him. He's going to once again get some baptism by fire. Programming says, is Riley Moss still hurt? Nope, Riley's good to go, and I'm hoping we see Riley today in place of Damari Mathis. Last week, the Broncos had the opportunity to play Riley even when it was garbage time just to give him some snaps, and they didn't do it. So I'm hoping that today we can get Riley some action for sure. Those that say tank for Caleb, our roster is not good enough to tank for anyone. So here's what I feel like. I feel like offensively our roster is actually too good to tank. I think that right now we are in a position where if the offense continues to play at this level, this team's going to win at least 1, 2, 3, 4 games this year just on that alone. And I don't think that Sean Payton's ego, once again, is going to allow him to go out there and intentionally lose football games. Same thing goes with players, man. Do you really think that guys such as Russell Wilson, Justin Simmons, who's not playing today, Pat Surtain, I mean, do you really think that Javonte Williams, those guys are really going to go out there and intentionally lose a football game? No. Every single guy on that field, they have too big a pride and too big of ego for that. Players do not tank. Coaches do not tank. What tanking is where the front office goes in and slowly but surely trims away at the tree and plucks away those resources that you need to win football games. Expensive players, good coaches, so on and so forth. And eventually you're left with a bare-ass cupboard. The Broncos do have a bare-ass cupboard right now on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively they don't. And that's where I feel like that's going to be a big difference maker, especially if the Broncos really are quote-unquote tanking, which I don't think they are. We've seen time and time again that tanking does not work in the NFL. See the 2019 Miami Dolphins, who ended up winning several games that year. See the Arizona Cardinals this year. Both of those front offices were blatantly trying to tank, and thus far it has not worked. So that's kind of where we are right now. This team is not going to tank. Tanking just does not happen at the NFL level. DH says, can't believe Simmons isn't playing again. Yeah, guys, so that reminds me, let's go ahead and jump into the inactives for this game. We do have Simmons down for this one. He participated in a limited capacity in practice throughout Wednesday and Thursday, but Friday he was listed as DNP, so that was a sign that Justin Simmons most likely was not going to play in this game. It sucks. It's unfortunate. Obviously, it's really going to hurt us in the secondary. JL Skinner also not playing in this game, so the Broncos, I believe, are only going to have 2 true safeties active once again in Kareem Jackson and Delarian Turner-Yell. That put us in a bad spot last week against Miami's passing game because obviously Kareem Jackson, he played, I believe, 100% of the snaps. He had nobody to spell him and check him out of the game. Delarian Turner-Yell once again struggled. But what gives me some confidence there is that this Chicago Bears passing game has not shown the ability to press the ball downfield. It's been a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of short throws underneath, stuff like that. I realized I never even transitioned over to the inactive list. I'm such a terrible host. But anyway, we've got Justin Simmons and JL Skinner down there. We got Lions Syndicate in the house. What's going on, Grid? He says, get this game, bro. Keep the Bears in the basement. That is what we're trying to do, man. That is what we're trying to do. We want to keep those Bears in the basement of the entire NFL, not just the NFC North. So, guys, be sure if you guys are just a fan of NFL content in general, go and check out Lions Syndicate. Just go and give my man Grid some love. He's the founder of the Syndicate brand and one of the best football minds in the game, in my opinion. So be sure to go give my man Grid some love. We got Programming Flaw who says, Rex Ryan said if the Broncos pony the dough, he would turn the defense right around. I mean, listen, Rex can say that all he wants, but I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and say that Rex Ryan would fix this defense. Rex is somebody who has been out of the NFL for a very long time. He definitely instilled a tough, old school mentality to this defense, which I'd say they'd need. But in terms of X's and O's, I don't feel like Rex Ryan would bring too much to the table in that aspect. But moving back into the inactive list, Justin Simmons, JL Skinner, both out. So again, it's going to be Kareem Jackson and Delarian Turner-Yell back there. Hopefully they can hold their own against this Bears passing game that, once again, guys, is very lackluster. There's a lot of short throws, a lot of dink and dunk stuff with the Bears passing game. I did a film study on the Bears passing game over on my other channel, Sparkin Sports Football. That channel is where I break down all 31 other teams in the NFL, and I do a little bit of college too. I actually did a Shedeur Sanders breakdown from yesterday. But the Bears passing game, whenever Justin Fields actually has to push the ball downfield, he really, really struggles with it. So if this is one game that we could potentially overcome not having depth in the secondary, this is that game. Obviously, Josie Jewell, he got injured in that Miami game, so he's going to be down for this one. We've already talked about how Drew Sanders is going to have to step up. Last week was his baptism by fire. This week, I'm hoping that he can take some of what he learned in that game and apply it and not make the same mistake twice, quite frankly. Ronnie Perkins, the edge rusher that we acquired from the New England Patriots practice squad, he's going to be down. Frank Clark also down one more week with his hip injury. We've got Alex Forsythe down. We've got Mike Purcell down. He got injured in that Miami game as well. So we're going to need guys like Matt Henningsen to step up. We're going to need guys like John Harris, Zach Allen. Zach Allen, this needs to be a breakout game for him. The Bears' interior offensive line is really, really poor. In fact, let's come over here and also take a look at the Chicago Bears inactives, because they've got some key players as well that are really... Oh, Jesus. I thought I had it queued up on Twitter already. Sorry, guys. They have some key players as well that are also down. So if we come over here to the Chicago Bears Twitter account, Eddie Jackson is their best player in the secondary, one of the best safeties in the NFL. He is out for this game with an injury. Same with one of their starting corners in Jalen Johnson. So those are probably two of the best secondary players out of this game for Chicago. And one of their other starting corners, Kyler Gordon, is on injured reserve. So the Bears are really thin in the secondary as well. That bodes well for Russell Wilson and this Broncos passing game. I really feel like Russ can light up the scoreboard. He was really playing at a high level in that Miami game. That was arguably his best game as a Bronco. It was his highest graded game as a Bronco for me when I went back and looked at the tape. So if Russell Wilson can do that against Miami's defense, I feel like he's going to absolutely carve up this Bears defense that doesn't have their three best players in the secondary. Chase Claypool is going to be a healthy scratch for this one. He made some very spicy comments about the Bears coaching staff earlier in the week, saying that they weren't utilizing him correctly. So that was the last straw with Chase Claypool and the Bears. So he's going to be inactive for this one. Nathan Peterman, the third string quarterback, is down. So Tyson Jason Bagent is going to be up for this one as the backup to Justin Fields. And then Deontay Foreman, the veteran running back, is down, paving the way for guys such as Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert to see an elevated role in this one. Let's come over here now, guys, and take a look at the Chicago Bears depth chart here. I feel like in terms of their offensive weapons, Pat Surtain is going to be able to lock down DJ Moore one-on-one, mano-a-mano. If there's going to be one game where Vance Joseph needs to deviate from playing scared and playing soft zone coverage, it's this one. They have to load the box. They have to put 7-8 guys down there. They have to make sure Justin Fields can't beat you with his legs. And they've got to play single high man coverage outside. That's the only way that the Broncos are going to be able to slow down this Bears run game. And Pat Surtain, mano-a-mano with DJ Moore the entire game. I feel like he's going to be able to really lock him down. Darnell Mooney is somebody that I feel like Damari Mathis can at least keep up with in terms of raw speed. And Damari Mathis is actually a much better man corner than zone corner. So if Damari Mathis, all he has to do is just run one-on-one with guys, I feel like he can actually do that pretty well. It's blowing zone assignments that have been Damari Mathis's big concern. So I don't know if they want to utilize Damari Mathis going against Darnell Mooney or if they want to utilize somebody like Riley Moss. It's going to be really interesting to see what the game plan is there for Vance Joseph and the Broncos defense. I'm going to imagine that Velus Jones is going to get a much more elevated role today. Same with Tyler Scott, Trent Taylor, and Equanimeous St. Brown in the absence of Chase Claypool. When you come over here to their tight ends, they've got Cole Kmet. The Broncos, I feel like, have had their issues covering tight ends historically, but that's actually been a bit of a strength for them this season, surprisingly. Tight ends haven't really gashed us too much, with the exception of Cole Turner in that Washington game, but it was really more off screens than anything else. So Cole Kmet, I feel like, is probably not going to have a very big day. And then they've got Bobby Tunyon and Mercedes Lewis, the two old Packers tight ends, behind them. We already talked about the Bears backfield. Defensively, man, this Bears defense is really, really poor. We've got DeMarcus Walker as one of their starting edge rushers. Broncos country will remember him well, the former second-round pick by the team. He actually had a big game against us last year when he was with the Tennessee Titans, so who knows, DeMarcus Walker could have another big one against us, but that's going to be the side that Mike McGlinchey, I believe, is going to be locking down, so we'll be paying attention to DeMarcus Walker for sure. Their interior D-line is just really, really bad. Andrew Billings, Justin Jones, Zach Pickens, and Gervon Dexter. Not too many household names on that interior D-line. They have Yannick Ngakoue as one of their other edge rushers, but he's not the Yannick Ngakoue of years past. He's a shell of his former self. I believe this is his sixth team now in 6 seasons. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned about Yannick Ngakoue in this one. Their two linebackers are very strong in TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. Those were their two big free agent signings this past offseason. So, we'll watch them for sure. Those are probably their best players on defense. With Jalen Johnson down, they'll probably be depending on Jalen Jones at corner. And then no Eddie Jackson, so Elijah Hicks will have to step in. So, yeah, man, this Bears defense is just really, really poor. And because of that, man, I really feel like there's a strong chance that the Broncos passing game is going to be able to thrive. The Broncos run game might even have a big day as well. I'm hoping this could be the day that we finally get some Jaleel McLaughlin involved. We might need a big day from Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine. So if we can run the ball, that would be good, and then establish those deep play action shots off of it. This could be a game, again, where the Broncos offense puts up 35 points. This, I feel like, is going to be a shootout because both defenses are awful. There's no way to get around it. Both defenses are just absolutely atrocious. I think that the Bears, if they are going to want to put up points, they're going to have to establish the run game of their own, especially with Justin Fields. This could be a game with the Broncos' poor tackling where Justin Fields goes for a $180 on the ground and 2 touchdowns. I really hope that does not happen, but that's something we're definitely going to have to watch out for. And again, they're 2 running backs in Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. But defensively for Denver, we're going to have to put 7, 8, and 9 guys in the box, play single high man coverage on the outside. It's very different defensively than what we've done for the past couple of weeks. weeks, but I feel like that's really what we're going to have to do. DH says, see, I think we can get on track today. See, I think today will be the perfect day for Fields to get back on track. Can't believe we didn't sign a safety after watching what happened last week. The problem was there was just no safeties to bring in. The cupboard was bare on the open market. We can't assume Fields won't play well. I mean, through the air, I can, because he hasn't put together a body of work of him putting together a consistent passing game really in his entire NFL career. That's just what Justin Fields is as a player. We have enough tape to know what Justin Fields can and can't do. So I feel like I can have confidence in saying Justin Fields won't be able to beat us through the air. It's on the ground that I'm really, really concerned about. DH says we have no depth at safety. I definitely agree. I mean, when you only have 2 starting safeties that are healthy playing, that's a big, big problem. LP says, I love sexy Rexy. Vaughn says, if you're ever going to tank, this is the season to tank, because the best quarterback to come out in probably 40 years is definitely going to be the first pick if he doesn't decide to stay in college. So this is where I'll actually disagree with you, Vaughn. I don't think that Caleb Williams is the best to come out in 40 years. First of all, I mean, Peyton Manning comes to mind. Andrew Luck comes to mind. Trevor Lawrence comes to mind. And honestly, I feel like the best prospect to come out, at least in the past like 5-6 years, has been Joe Burrow. So I don't know, man. Caleb Williams is special. We all saw that. If you're a CU fan, you saw it yesterday. Anybody who's seen Caleb Williams play, anybody who's watched his film, knows how special Caleb is. But I don't necessarily agree that he's the best quarterback prospect in 40 years. I think the best quarterback prospect, at least in the last couple decades, was probably, oh man, Andrew Luck really was the complete package. The Colts just ruined him. But Caleb's special. I'm not trying to take anything away from Caleb there. He is extraordinarily special. We got Jess in the house, says Tebow. Oh man, oh man, oh man. That's a name that is definitely polarizing even to this day here in Broncos country. WZA, or Was It the Great, says, I don't like how long Russ holds on to the ball. I mean, that's a fair criticism that Russ has pretty much had throughout his entire career. But at the same time, there's been plenty of instances where guys just weren't getting open downfield. That's why you have to watch the All-22 film in order to see what Russ is seeing. That way you can really determine if it was good or bad for him to hold on to the ball. I mean, you think about the play against Washington where he fumbled. That's one where you'd like to see more decisiveness in terms of him tucking the ball away and choosing to run with it rather than leaving it out and leaving it exposed. So that's one where you can definitely say that's a fair criticism. But there's been plenty of other times as well where Russ just hasn't had receivers getting open and he's had to hold on to the ball. So, all right, guys, we're going to start wrapping it up here. But again, I feel like this is going to be a game where the Broncos offense is going to be able to put up points. We've put up points in each of the last 2 weeks, so I think that this is going to be a similar circumstance. We should have put up more points last week, but penalties and a couple of just really bad breaks in the red zone prevented that from happening. Obviously, we were never going to catch the Miami Dolphins last week in terms of the amount of points that they scored, but we've seen consistent production from our offense really in the last couple of weeks. It's our defense that's obviously not held up their end of the bargain. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this channel. Anybody who's watched the Broncos play can see that. I think that it's probably going to be a similar vibe to this game, but it's finally going to be against an opponent that is truly inferior to the Denver Broncos, and that's where I feel like things are going to separate themselves. The Chicago Bears are going to beat themselves. The Denver Broncos are going to put forth their best effort to beat themselves as well, just in terms of penalties, self-inflicted wounds, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But this is a game, again, where we're playing against an inferior opponent and an inferior quarterback especially, and that's going to be what I feel like makes all the difference. So in this game, I have the Denver Broncos finally picking up their first win of the season, 35-24. I think that the Chicago Bears will be able to get some things going offensively, especially in the run game, but Denver's offense is going to be able to outscore them. defensively, if we can at least get 1 or 2 stops, I feel like that's going to be a big win for us. I'm curious about your thoughts on scores and the overall theme for the game before we dip out of here. Be sure to let me know in the chat, guys. They're comparing Caleb to Mahomes. I mean, you see some Mahomes-like tendencies for sure in Caleb's game. Right now, there's only one Patrick Mahomes on this planet. There's only one guy that can do all the things that Patrick Mahomes can do. But Caleb can still do a lot of the same things that Mahomes can, the sidearm stuff. It's going to be all about, can he translate that to the NFL level? I absolutely think he can, but to call Caleb the next Mahomes, I feel like is a little bit premature. I don't care what anyone says. If our offense can't score 30 points, we don't need to be talking about the defense. I mean, they should have scored 30 points last week, but again, it was penalties and self-inflicted wounds. If they can clean those self-inflicted wounds up this week, I'm fully confident that the offense will be able to put up at least 30 points against this Bears defense that is, quite frankly, about as poor as the Broncos defense is, maybe even worse in terms of talent. So that's kind of where we sit right now. We are at the 30-minute mark, guys, so we're going to go ahead and dip out of here. Be sure to tune in here in about 20 minutes. Let me go ahead and get the link here to our stream for Bears Broncos. We'll be doing live play-by-play. We'll have game audio in there, so be sure to tune in. Our streams are always a whole lot of fun. I'm going ahead and get the link for it right now, guys. YouTube's algorithm has been really screwing over these small streams like ours lately, and they haven't been pushing them out to all of the notifications. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the link. Just give me 1 second, guys. Bear with me. DS says, I'm prepared for us to lose this game. If we lose this game, that's going to tell a lot about the Denver Broncos' plans heading into the rest of the season, that's for sure. All right, guys, there is the link to the game stream. Be sure to join us here in about 20 minutes at 10:50, and we will be doing live play-by-play, game audio, all that good stuff. Really hope you guys can join us. And until then, guys, I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.